I really like this question. It's just like a giant mess. This whole passage is a bit of a mess, but it's okay. We can deal with that. We have strategies to deal with complicated passages, right? So one of them is the no reading strategy. We don't read this passage because if we had read it, we would have been very confused by a lot of what we read and probably would have thrown us off in the first, 3 minutes of the SAT. That's not great. So we don't read it, but now we have a question, number 3, that doesn't have a line reference. So we have no idea where to look. So what do? Well, whenever we have no line reference in a question, we should look at the other one, the next question, and hopefully it's like this, an evidence pair where we do get line references that tell us where to go. So this is great because that means I can narrow my focus and I can really think about things in a smaller way, right? I don't need to read the whole passage. I just need to read these 4 lines to answer this question. The other piece here is we better understand what the question is actually asking of us. The passage most clearly implies that other people regarded Lady Collada as. Okay, so we need other people's opinions. This is also a way that we can use the narrow your focus strategy to help us. We don't want to just read these line references blind. We want to have a purpose. We want to know and analyze whether or not they're going to have anything to do with what's being asked. So the fact that other people are involved will help us. So let's go to 10 to 14. Let's see. Do they talk about other people? Here we go. It's right here. Certain of her acquaintances were wont to give her plentiful admonition as to the undesirability of interfering on behalf of a distressed animal, such interference being none of her business. Okay. Well, I barely understood that. But the part I did understand is that they're talking about other people, her acquaintances. So I'm going to keep that in. And we'll see what happens. I don't need to understand it right now. That's not my job. Let's keep moving and not get slowed down by something I barely understood. We'll trust that it will reveal itself in time. Okay. Letter B here, 22 to 23. 22 to 23 here. It is to be feared that she lost the friendship of the ultimately rescued lady. Okay, maybe. We're talking about some other lady. And the friendship, okay, maybe that's related as well. It's about one person, so I don't love that. I mean, it's talking in the question about other people, multiple people. So this is like a drawback. This is only one person. 23 to 26, that is here to here. On this occasion, she merely lost the train, which gave way to the first sign of impatience it had shown throughout the journey and steamed off without her. Well, this isn't talking about people at all. This is talking about a train. A train is losing impatience. So it's a metaphor, but it's not one that I care about because it has nothing to do with people. And 30 to 32, that's choice D. She wired a vague, non-committal message to her destination to say that she was coming on by another train. Well, this is unrelated, nothing but other people. So, okay, we got 2 possible answer choices. I understood one of them decently well, but it doesn't fit great. And the other one I barely understood, but it kind of did seem to match with the question. And that's all I needed to understand for now. Now we can say, okay, do we have any evidence of any of these answer choices from number 3, right? So we're looking for a match. We want something in those lines to match with what's going on here. So unfriendly, well, that one probably matches with this choice B about losing the friendship, right? So I don't know, that might match, okay? Outspoken, tactful, ambitious. Now, tactful might be a word that we don't know, so let's hold off on it. I'll tell you, but we're going to hold off on it for now. But let's go back to that line reference A, and let's really see what we can understand here. We might not be able to get it all, but when you are reading stuff that you don't understand, you have to be careful, because some of you have a temptation to just read and reread and reread and reread and reread again, and you just read and read again until, what? I don't know. You just like go crazy, I guess. If you don't know what these words mean, it's unlikely that the meaning is going to magically come to you in the moment. So rereading is probably not going to help. You need to read a different way, okay? Not just rereading the same way. You need to reread with some other method. And yes, there are multiple ways to read. So when I'm reading this confusing thing, I'm not worried about the stuff I don't know. I'm worried about the stuff I do know. What makes sense to me? Well, I already underlined this part, that some of her acquaintances are involved. That sounds good for the question. We're wont to give her plentiful admonition as the undesirability of interfering on behalf of a distressed animal, such interference being none of her business. So it's undesirable to interfere, and interference seems important because it's mentioned twice. So what is this about? Something about interfering, and interfering being bad. Okay, so let's put that here. Interfering bad. Well, does that have anything to do with any of these choices? Well, being ambitious is just being like career motivated, right? Like you want to succeed, but this isn't really about anything about success. Neither choice seemed to suggest that, so that's not a good sign. Again, we don't know tactful, but outspoken. Someone who's outspoken says what's on their mind. They, kind of put themselves out there. And so it kind of sounds pretty good that if someone were outspoken, you would tell them to mind their own business, right? And this is none of your business. And so that seems to kind of fit. Now, if you weren't super convinced, maybe you pick the word tactful just because you don't know what it means and you hope you're placing a bet, basically, and betting that it's going to be a better word. In this case, it's not. Choice A and line reference A are definitely best here. Tactful means polite, basically. You don't say what's on your mind, right? You hold back and you try to be courteous or respectful, and you don't say anything that might offend someone. You're tactful. So we have no evidence of that. The only thing that we have any sort of evidence of is just this idea that she's interfering in things. And I don't understand what the distressed animal is all about. I don't care. I got the interfering part. And that's enough for me to make a connection, pick some choices, and move on. And like I said, there was a little bit of a connection between choices D and B here. But it's not matching with the question. And ultimately, with these evidence pairs, that's what we need. We need the question, the line reference, and the choice to all line up. And the question is about people. This is about one lady who, I guess, maybe she lost the friendship up. I don't really know. But does that mean she's unfriendly? There's just not a lot of connection here. Where there's a couple of words in choice A that connect with this idea of outspoken if I really want to make it fit. This is a tough pair, a really tough pair. And so don't, beat yourself up if you got it wrong. But I do hope that you can take away from this explanation how you're supposed to approach sentences and passages that are very difficult to understand. You can't waste time rereading everything. You have to just accept that there are things you will not know. And you have to work with what you do know and try to make those kinds of connections. The choices and the choices and the question are almost always going to be more clear than the passage. So shift your focus to those things. And see, okay, I'm reading these lines now looking for something about other people. I'm reading these lines now looking for someone being outspoken. And that might make it easier to understand what's going on. You might not understand the full meaning, but we just need enough to connect it to an answer. That's it. Don't do more work than the question requires of you.